What is up, everyone? This is BigPowner, and I thought I was recording, but I guess I wasn't. So this is like halfway into a rotation, but I'm going to explain what a rotation is and the things that you need to be doing. For starters, there's going to be some specifications, but the first thing I want to go over is see how everyone sits and waits till everyone is loaded into the map. You want to do that every single time, and the reason why is because the map, the sulfite is counted at the beginning of the map, which is... Ooh, we're getting lag. Lots of lag. Oh, that guy's having a rough time. He just died in the previous one, too. Um, I always like to link my map in the party. Um, you are going to specify before it the quantity of the maps, but I just like to link it at the beginning anyways. You're going to wait for everyone to come in. You notice... Oh, this guy moved. Without everyone in. So that is something you don't want to do. I guess that guy quit. I think that was the guy that kept on dying. Tell by all the drops in my map that I had the best map, and the Awakener 8. We were doing a minimum of 100% quantity, and I think most of these guys, minimum 100% quantity was like barely 100% quantity. Alrighty. Last person. Inger. So that's basically what the rotation is. And I'm going to go over what to search for. I thought I was recording from the beginning. That was kind of the whole reason why I was doing this right now. But at least you don't have to see me waiting to find a group, waiting to put together a group. So that is the bonus of me not recording it from the very beginning. You're kind of getting to see how it works. And then I will explain to you everything that you didn't see that I already explained, but because I guess I didn't hit record, I have to explain it again.
My mana is gone.
It is dangerous to play with Necros. If you have bad latency, you might want to specify a non-Necro a non-Necro map, like no Necros in the group, because it's going to cause lots of latency issues. Honestly, just playing with the Necro in general is dangerous because they put a lot of it makes it hard to see like ground effects and stuff like that, so you have a higher chance of dying. So if you're like really squishy already, then that is something you might want to consider, because as you can see, I'm kind of just running around blind on this. But The bright side of this is the amount of sulfite I got. So this cost me 1 Niko, and the whole idea... Okay. So we'll go look. I was completely empty on sulfite. So from using 1 Niko at, in this case, 100% quantity was the minimum. I got 17,806 sulfite. We did lose a little bit because there was that one instance where someone moved at the beginning, and that's why I was explaining something that I always specify. The way that I look for these is the first thing is the quantity of the map that you're looking for and the tier. Normally, you're going to have trouble finding, you're going to have a lot more trouble finding a group unless you have at least 100% quantity map. Sometimes people will look for like 90%, but in general, you're going to want a tier 15, tier 16 map with 100% or more quantity. You can specify that you are going to add fragments. So like say you can only roll like an 85, you can be like, I'm going to add 4 fragments to it. But the higher the quantity, the higher the tier of the map, the more sulfite it is you get. Something to understand is if I were to do that map that I did with the group by myself, I would have gotten a lot more sulfite from it. But as a group, you get less from each one, but essentially I'm getting 6 for every one of my Nikos. And which, a little bit less on each one, but getting 6 for the price of 1, that's the advantage of it. So if you're searching for it, what you're going to be doing is you're going to go to global. You have to select global. I don't know how this is done on console, but I'm sure you guys can figure that out. You could also make friends. I'm sure there's lots of ways that you can get good groups, but the way that I use is I just go to global. I use global 820 and 840 mostly, so you guys can join 820 and 840. I don't have too many followers, so hopefully this isn't going to make it so that I can't get into the channel. If that winds up happening, I'm going to have to make a new video about some new channels to fill up some new options for me. But it's pretty simple. You're either going to be looking for, so like LF, Rota, which is like rotation, you're rotating Nikos. Niko, then you specify red map, the quantity, and then normally the only way you're going to get a party very easily is if you have a no reflect map, which in general, almost all characters can't do reflect. So it's going to be really hard if you don't have a non-reflect map to be able to get into a party that is going to want to play with you. The other things that I like to specify at the beginning, I always start off by going over some general stuff that's just going to make it better. First of all is owner of the map picks up the sulfite. Second biggest thing is wait at the start. And if someone doesn't understand that on the first time you load in, then you're going to see someone move. If they don't understand, they're going to end up moving, and then you're going to want to explain it to them. The sulfite is calculated when the first player moves. So if not everyone is loaded in, you wind up getting way less sulfite. Which, if that happens to every single map, that can result in you losing a couple thousand sulfite. Which this becomes even worse. For instance, like I'm just beginning to get to a point where I'm using the grouping of Nikos, and that's at depth the 115. When I start getting to like depth 300, 400, and I have 50,000 sulfite, then I'm going to be doing triple Nikos. So if someone's moving at the beginning of every single one of those, a couple thousand that I'm losing turns into like 6,000 or 8,000, and losing that much sulfite every single time you do it is like having to do a whole extra set of them. It does add up, and if you're the one that's doing it, then every single time you do it, you're making your whole group, which can get people pissed off at you, because if you don't listen, you can get kicked. Like I was the group leader. If there was someone that on the first one moved and then I explain to them and then they do it again anyways, I would kick them because they're not listening. They're making the whole group lose Sulfite. Um, and there are people that will kick you for that. Uh, Obviously, getting a warning and being explained to you is something people should do, but some people will just kick you without even explaining because they'll be like, I don't want to play with someone that doesn't know how to play. Um, so don't be that guy. Even if it doesn't get you kicked, just you're hurting yourself and you're hurting the other people. So make sure you don't do that. The other thing I'd like you to notice is I was going to current party and I have, this up here. If you're the party leader, what you should be doing is you should be taking away the guesswork of who's gone and who's next. What I did is a fair way that I did it is I just basically chose their names based off the length of their name. And you can go back and forth just to be more fair to people with like short names or long names or I don't know. It's just how I did it this time was I was just like short name to longest name. Um, Sometimes I will always put myself at the end if people seem a little off. There's not really I don't really in rotations you don't really normally have people that are like, trying to rip you off for a free Niko rotation. Um, if that happened, I would have just done an extra Niko for the group as the leader. Um, but in general, you shouldn't have problems like that. And if it happens, once in a while, it's kind of whatever. I mean, trying to steal a sixth of a Niko from a group, that's kind of shitty, but I mean, stuff like that does happen. But it's not very common. Um, so just make sure that people link their maps. If people don't link their maps beforehand, um, all of these people as the leader, um, I had seen all their maps before they joined the group. If you're the leader, you should have people link their maps so that they're not going to throw in some really low quantity, because it's not only like if you don't care, that's fine, but the other people, they might not have had that many maps and they're trying to get all their quantity, and it's only fair that if you have a specification for the party that everyone actually meets that specification. So that is how you make your Nikos go farther. Um, Once again, just looking for or starting a group, and as you gain people, if you are playing as the party leader, when you're advertising it, as you get people, let other people know because, they're going to join faster. Um, Stalking or doing this method is something that you should account for in your currency generation, um, because it does take extra time to do this. Um, I could run 6 Nikos by myself faster, but then I'm going to run out of Nikos really fast. And why is that? Because as you get deeper, the sulfite cost just continues to become more and more and more. And eventually you will wind up in a place where if all you're doing is delving, you're going to have to start buying scarabs, which obviously then you're going to have a lot more cost, which is going to cut into your profit. So you want to make those go as far as you can, um, which this is how you do that. I would say once you get to 20,000, like around 20,000, like this is the first time I did it because I knew I would be able to fully fill on it. 20,750. I think the upgrade for this was like 2,500 sulfite, and I was able to hit this at, only a depth of 115. So that's not um, that's not very deep. And the sooner you can get your sulfite up to that point, the more savings you can make on those Nikos if you plan to continue farming delve. Or, I mean, even if you're not planning on going to the point where you're paying for scarabs to do it, um, if you enjoy it, you want to get the most out of it without having to pay for scarabs or even use scarabs that you already have. Anyways, I hope that this is helpful. It kind of sucks that it got cut off from the beginning, but I hope that I covered everything in this video. Thanks for watching. Peace.